Hey guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to have you join me today because we have a really great silhouette tutorial for you. We're going to cover a little bit in the software and a little bit with the machine, but what are we talking about? Stippling. Alright guys, so here we are in Silhouette Studio, and this is just a blank, empty designing page, nothing special about it. I'm going to show you how to set up a design from a photo for stippling, and then we'll also give you just an overview of the stippling panel. So it's really super easy. Stippling was actually introduced when Silhouette released the Silhouette Curio machine, and since then it has also been available on the newer model Cameos, starting with the Cameo 3 and now the Cameo 4. So it is a little bit of an artistic bent, at least that's how I feel about it, because when I think of using my Cameo or even my Curio, I don't immediately think of stippling. Like it's one of those features that you kind of have to find, and then you're like, oh, okay, I see where that could be useful. So let's go ahead and we are going to open up, or rather import, it's a pretty butterfly image. You can just go to File and Merge or File and Open. And then of course I have downloaded this image, so I just need to grab it from my download folder. There we go. Now, of course, it imports rather large. Most of your images will. So I'm just going to use the little scale menu up here, and we'll just scale it down at about 12 inches, and then I'll center to page to bring it back in here. Now, before we go too much farther, let's go ahead and go also to the page setup panel over here on the right hand side. And what I want to do is go ahead and double check. So I am on my Cameo 4 machine, my Cameo cutting mat, but I am going to be stippling on a letter size page. Okay, so that is important also. Now, one final thing to do, and this is because this is an isolated image. This is an image that's just on a regular white background, but I still want to remove that background because every now and then your stippling image will still pick up, basically it picks up pieces that aren't there, but we're going to work around that. We're going to open up our tracing panel, and I'm going to go ahead and incorporate my entire butterfly. Now, you don't have to do this for every image, okay? But if you notice that your image is picking up little stray marks, then this will be the answer. I'm going to increase my threshold to 99, and I'm going to click Trace and Detach. Now I can delete the background and not have to worry about it. All right, so let's go ahead and center this to page. And we're going to go ahead and open up our stippling menu, which is over here on the right hand side. Looks like a little star made out of dots. Or if you have troubles locating the icon, you can always go to Panels and you have a stipple panel here. Now, the easy thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the stipple trace, and it works a lot like the regular trace. But just know that if you're ever creating your own stippling design, you can come in here. There are a lot of fill options, grid spacing, the stipple fill. These are all different designs that it will actually fill your design with. You can change the angle, the scale, the offset. You can even come down and change the stippling size. And all the way down here at the bottom is where you would release a stipple if you need to. But I don't think, surprisingly, I don't think stippling, at least in my brain, is not as common setting up your own design here as it is stippling images, which is what we're going to do here. So select stipple area, and I'm going to draw my box around my butterfly just like we just did for the tracing. And now we can come in here and we can change any of these settings that we want to. We can change the style. I do usually leave it regular 1. I seem to get the best results, but you can come in here. It doesn't hurt to double check what each design is going to do. Now, density, I do leave it at 100, but if you scale down, you notice it gets a little, I want to call it faded, but remember that stippling, and this is a simple explanation in case you don't know what stippling is. Stippling is, creating artwork or creating a design that is made out of dots, okay? So basically what it is it's it's making the dots farther away, meaning that the design in that area is not as dark. So we're going to leave that at 100. Now for refinement, I do always click through and find the one that I think looks the best. In this case, I use a 3. And then for my grid spacing, all right, what I want to look for is, see my antenna here, how my antenna do not connect? I want to reduce my grid spacing to make sure that those fill in. And that's only necessary when you have a design that has a lot of detail, or if it has thin details like that. So these are the exact settings that I'm going to use. So what I can do is go ahead and hit Create Stipple. And what that is going to do is it will make it separate from my image, but I now have my original and I have my stippling image here. Okay, now let's talk about how to create this stippling design. What I'm going to use, it's actually a Cricut marker, but it's a felt tip marker. And I really like using that for stippling because it gives me nice even dots, because basically your blade housing in your Cameo or your Curio is just going to touch down. All these areas that you see individual dots, that's just a place. So if you're working with a pen that, say even like a ballpoint pen or something like that, once it uses the ink on the end of it, and of course this will vary by brand and individual pen, but just try to pick out a pen where you don't have to worry about a consistent ink flow. Does that make sense? So a fine point or a felt tip pen or marker works really well. And then I actually used a third-party pen holder, but Silhouette does come with their own pen holders, so whatever works for you. Now I'm going to click over to the Send panel. Oh, before I get ahead of myself, stippling can actually also be done with certain types of other materials. Like if I want to stipple on like an aluminum sheet, okay, Silhouette actually has their own brand of little stippling metal sheets that really add a lot of character. So it just depends on the look that you're going for your project. But, you know, definitely check out, you know, maybe do a quick Google search before you jump into a stippling project, because there's so much inspiration to be found on what you would and would not want to use for a stippling project. So all of these are lit up in bright red. That tells me, you know, that it is going to pick it up. Now I do have a few areas down here at the bottom that are in red, and you know, guys, every now and then it is going to pick up areas that you can't see. All right, it's just the nature of using this type of design, because I did use it as a trace feature. Okay. So just remember that. I just want to go ahead and prepare you for that. Now, if these bother you, or you need it to be, you know, I don't want to call it perfect, but if you really need it to be super on point, then you can come in here and do some modifying. What I'm going to do over here on the right hand side is I'm going to choose plain cardstock. From my action, if you have not used stippling before, or just if the last thing you did was to cut, then you may need to come in here and select stipple from your action list here. And that will also give you these stipple options on the left hand side. And then of course you'll select your pen. Now I'm going to leave the force and the speed alone. Surprisingly, a speed of 5 seems really, really slow, but it's not. Okay, not for stippling. And you'll see what I mean. Now, a stipple design of this size is going to take a while. All right. I wouldn't be surprised for this to take an hour, because it's actually pretty large. Because basically, don't forget, the machine is filling this in with dots. Okay, but I don't really want to increase the speed, because it's going to increase the overall speed, not necessarily the up and down motion. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to head over to, I'm using a Cameo 4, and I already have my pen installed, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like when you send this, and you will see what a fully stippled design looks like when you do it on cardstock with a pen. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and unload. Now, the machine has done its thing, so what we're going to do is just remove the cardstock from the mat. Now, my ink is already dry. I just want to say that. It would sure be a waste to turn this over and smear the ink, but that's not the case here. Now on the right hand side, this is where I accidentally had my pen too low, so I was able to pause and stop that, but these other areas are some of the design that I was telling you about where it can pick up just some extra little nodes, some extra little points in the design that you can't always see. But guys, there is our fully stippled design. So guys, how did you feel about stippling? Now, of course, I showed you a few of the things that you want to be on the lookout for. We talked about a little bit of this when we went through the software, and you know, it's just a really neat project to do. I love that it comes out with some pretty dramatic effects, and this is definitely something that I would be more than happy to frame and hang up in my office, maybe in my home. There's so many wonderful things that you can do with stippling to kind of break away from just doing the everyday norm for crafting, right? So if you have any questions or comments, definitely make sure you leave those down below. I do love hearing from you guys. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, share with a crafty friend. If you learned something, give the video a big thumbs up. Guys, all the support that you show for the channel just really means a lot to me. Helps us to keep bringing you these videos in the future. And guys, I'm gonna wrap it up for today, but thanks again for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.